I'm BJ. I'm going to take you guys on a journey through my life. And since it kind of seemed a bit silly to bullet point my life out for you guys, my really good friend Alicia has allowed me to use her art to help you visualize this journey as we go on it. There we go. My coding journey started when I was a kid. My father was a preacher. We didn't have a whole lot of money. We didn't have a whole lot, but he and I were really close. I used to ride along with him in the summers when he'd go visit people, go to talks with him. Church was kind of my second home, and so I kind of started getting into technology by helping out with stuff there. And he was also into tech. We actually got our very first computer when I was about 8 or 9 years old by trading a shed for it. So yeah, that's about where we were. I really became interested in programming when I hit high school. I took 3 years of programming classes and absolutely loved it. I even helped my friends with their homework when they got stuck on things. I would help them debug their code from printouts. This was back, we actually used to handwrite our code to turn it in. So yeah, not telling my age or anything, but yeah, I'll get it. Actually, that was really great. That's what I wanted to do with my life. But I started to lose interest sort of in coding around my senior year of high school when I caught my dad looking at internet pornography. That took a huge blow to our relationship. And then my mom kept asking me to check his computer. And y'all, 17, 18 years old, I just couldn't deal with it. I just wiped my hands. I'm like, I don't do computers anymore. I don't know anything about it. I can't help you out. And at that point, my path kind of diverged. It took several ways around rather than going the straight path to where I'm at now. To quote Doctor Who, I took the long way around. But the summer after high school, I worked at a doctor's office, and the doctors were so cool. They would bring me in and show me techniques and things like that. I was just absolutely fascinated with it, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor. Then I got to college, and my grades weren't as good as I needed them to be, so I changed to psychology. And it was in grad school that I decided to give medicine a go again. 2 years of really intense study, and I was just super excited. I was going to be a doctor. Then I got the call that I'd gotten accepted to med school. Y'all, I was pumped. I called my grandma. I called my sisters. I called my parents. I called my friends. Some of them were like, why are you calling me? I'm at work. I'm like, dude, I got into med school. He's like, yeah, this could have waited till after I get off work. But, you know, I was just so pumped. And I was going to be this was a new school. It was going to be the first class, and I love new beginnings and things, so it was great. Before classes began, my cohort got together several times. We were all moving down to southern Mississippi, so we didn't know anybody in the area. We started hanging out a lot. At one of those dinners, y'all, I sat beside this most amazing woman from New Orleans. It was meant to be. We got to talking, and we didn't even notice that everyone else had left. We did not stop talking until the people at the restaurant asked us to leave because they were trying to close down. Next week, during orientation, we had our first date, and that was just awesome. We had Thai food, and then we sat at her place and talked till 4 a.m. And after that, we were pretty much inseparable. We studied together, we ate together, we joined the same clubs, we did medical missions together. We were tight. That spring at Mardi Gras, I proposed to her at her favorite restaurant, and she said yes. Thank you. We had sort of a longer engagement. We got married the summer after our second year. That was wonderful. My friends and family came down to New Orleans. My dad got licensed to perform wedding ceremonies in New Orleans, so he actually got to do the ceremony for us, which was a dream of mine and a dream of his. I got to work with him on the ceremony. It was beautiful. We even live streamed the wedding. And this is before Facebook Live. Twitch had literally just gotten started. Like, I actually had to tie that in with news media to get it to work. Built a website so that my grandmother, who was up in West Virginia, who'd fallen and broken her hip, couldn't make it down. She got to watch the wedding on my cousin's TV. They plugged in the laptop to the TV, and I didn't know it at the time, but my entire family up there got together over at my great aunt's house, and they all watched the wedding, which was really awesome. However, things didn't stay great long. Due to illness and being in the hospital a lot my second year of med school, I had to repeat the year. Now, while that gave me a lot more time to plan the wedding, it kind of took an emotional toll. I wasn't going to graduate with my friends and my wife. It was hard. And then in October of that year, I got a call from my dad. He'd been arrested. While he was out on a mission trip, his computer had been taken in to get some work done on it, and they found some illegal images on his computer. That was really devastating. He'd been telling us for years, my mom and my sisters and I, that he had gotten over the pornography addiction and had moved on with his life, and that wasn't the case. I started getting depressed. And I struggled through the rest of the school year, finished up, and then went to take my level 1 board exams, and I didn't pass. My wife was out of town doing her 4th-year rotations, and if you're not familiar, that's where med students, they go and they try out different residency programs for a month at a time. And so she was across the country. I called her up, told her what had happened, that I was really depressed about it, and I was just starting to not see the point in a lot of things. Looking back, that's kind of when she started distancing herself. I started studying again, but then divorce papers showed up 2 days before I was scheduled to take my board exams again. Yeah, needless to say, I did not pass my board exams. I felt surrounded by darkness. My life was shattering around me. All the things that I had worked so hard for were falling apart. All the things and people I'd relied upon were fading away. I felt like I had nothing. The emotional pain was so overwhelming. It hurt so much on the inside that pain became physical. All day long, I felt like I had a weight on me that was piercing into my chest. And I really saw no way out of it. Actually, I did see a way. I only saw one way. And it's kind of hard to talk about. So I actually wrote about it, and I'm going to read you guys a poem that I wrote about that night. I know what the barrel tastes like. Metallic and bitter, it sat in my mouth. Hand on the grip, finger on the trigger. Squeeze once, breathe. Squeeze twice, breathe. 3 times, breathe. I sat there, staring into the abyss. The abyss stared back into me, and it was afraid. Deep within, a spark still burned, a single flame against the darkness. From it rose a strand of hope, lighting the way through despair. After that night, I checked myself into a psychiatric hospital. I couldn't pull the trigger, but I knew I needed help. I got diagnosed with adjustment disorder with depressed mood. That actually came as a big relief to me. Knowing what was going on kind of showed me that there was light at the end. For the first time, I was starting to see that. And the quote on this painting is a Bible verse, Psalm 35, weeping may tarry in the night, but joy comes in the morning. Well, I was still stuck in the night. I knew there was a morning to come, but I wasn't there yet. I had my demons to battle, but now I knew what they were. The problem was I was so focused on my issues, on my problems. When your world stands still and is not moving, it's really interesting because it keeps moving for everyone around you. But I was very lucky. I had some very good friends who saw what was going on, and they tried to help me. They did a great job of it. In an effort to redirect my focus, they suggested that I get back into coding. Medical school requires a high level of focus, and when that went away and I was no longer in medical school, I had that focus, but I didn't have anything to focus on but the problems in my life. I couldn't move forward because I was so focused on those problems. My friends knew I'd enjoyed programming in high school. Most of them were software developers, or still are, really. And so they knew the level of focus it took. It gave me a place to put my focus. What they didn't expect was for me to fall in love with coding. I found my purpose as a software developer. They gave me some websites like Learn Through Coding and some JavaScript things where you move around a little character. Kind of cool. But within a few weeks, I had gone through the whole game and was looking at tutorials. I started asking difficult questions. I remember one time I asked my best friend about expression trees, and he's like, "How do you even know what that is?" But a few months after that, I started working for him as an apprentice at his company. And then a little over a year after that, I had my first job. It was as if a part of me that had been hidden for years was finally free. Like, I was excited about coding, about being a software developer. I started listening to every podcast I could come across. Even if I didn't understand what they were talking about, I figured I would just absorb it and I would figure out what it was. Sometimes I'd take notes and go look stuff up. I was just into it. I took all the tutorials, all the ones I could afford. Some of them kind of get expensive, y'all. And then I started telling people. I told everyone I met that I was going to be a software developer. I was working in sales at the time, and I even told my boss, I'm going to be a software developer. And he, strangely enough, he was encouraging for it. It was really awesome. I wanted to tell the world. Like, I had found something. I had found a reason to live. I had found a purpose again. And that's when my best friend and I started the podcast, Complete Developer Podcast. It started off as a way for me to learn by teaching, and then it sort of became a platform for us to help others grow. Something that I learned along the way is I can survive just about anything. I gained a lot of humility in this process. I don't know if you guys know this, but doctors tend to be rather arrogant. They kind of train it into us, like your first year, you have a class on arrogance. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. You think it, but no, they don't. But I also learned to empathize, both with my coworkers and customers. That not only helped my relationships, but it improved the way I coded and the way I think about code. But my life still wasn't complete. Like, I had a purpose and I had a drive, but I wasn't happy. I was just almost a machine, just going. And it really wasn't until I got back into going to church again that I felt complete. Now, I'm not here to preach to y'all. I'm not going to do that. I'm telling you my story. But getting back to those core values that I grew up with helped me. It helped me to be able to forgive my dad, to be able to forgive my ex-wife, to be able to get over the loss in my life. Also, I found a really awesome community to get involved in. It's where I spend most of my time. They even let me do some, I'm on the tech team, and so they let me do a lot of stuff. Here's a bunch of photos of us. There right in the middle there is the artist that let me use all of her work. I met her through the church too, so it's been a place for me to grow. But y'all, coding has been with me throughout my life. And I wouldn't say that it saved my life, but it's kept coming back. And it helped me through my darkest times. And I hope that you guys, in your coding journeys, can find the comfort and strength in code that you write that I found in mine. Thank you all.